And the flight delays are also impacting the federal trial of former President Trump's aide.
Walt Nauta, remember, he was supposed to be arraigned, or we expected him to be arraigned along with former President Trump, but he wasn't. He didn't have an attorney. Well, he was supposed to be arraigned today, and unfortunately, because of these same flight delays, he could not get on a plane from New Jersey to Miami. He's also still looking for a local attorney. Nauta is accused of helping the former president hide sensitive materials that were sought by the Justice Department. The arraignment has now been scheduled for next week, July 6th.
Joining us now from Miami is CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, great to see you. What is the ripple effect of the delay in Nauta's arraignment?
There's going to be some dominoes that fall over because of this. But first, let me paint the picture of what didn't happen inside the courthouse here in Miami. Walt Nauta sounds like any number of Americans and their experiences recently. He spent 3 hours on the tarmac at Newark Airport, 8 hours at the airport overall, and his flight just didn't go. It didn't make it here to Miami, so he was a no-show. Sounds like an ordinary story, except he happens to be the co-defendant in potentially the largest scale and largest profile criminal case in American history. They've rescheduled this arraignment for July 6th, but his defense attorney, who is standing in for now, started to paint a picture for us that this is going to start sliding things, other things. There's a July 14th pretrial conference on the books. That's likely to be delayed. Nauta will seek a delay in that conference. The August 14th trial date that's on the books seems more fanciful, if not farcical at this point. They have to get defense lawyers' security clearances, and Walt Nauta doesn't have a defense lawyer of record in Florida at this moment. Even the prosecution has said they want to push this back till December 11th for a trial date for all the reasons I just mentioned. But even the small bore things, Lilia and Meg, getting a local attorney, getting an arraignment done, has come stumbling out of the gates, which raises the prospect this case, this historic case, may easily slide into 2024.
Adding to the things, those things that keep complicating this case, right now, Scott, we have audio from recently obtained audio recordings of former President Donald Trump, precisely that capture a conversation between the former president and others. Let's take a listen first, because part of this case has to do with the fact that the former president, according to the indictment, did not or was sharing these documents with people who don't have security clearance. Now that we've heard these audio tapes, there seems to be a lot more information that might complicate the case. So let's listen, and we'll come right back to you, Scott.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. Look at this.
So, Scott, is this helpful for Jack Smith's case? Does this hurt it? Is this who does this serve, and everything else that we heard in this recording?
This is actually the spoken word version of page 15 of the indictment against Donald Trump and Walt Nauta. That one-of-a-kind indictment that alleges a conspiracy, an obstruction, an effort to conceal federal records that Donald Trump, according to the prosecutors, shouldn't have had in his possession in the first place. They actually quote from that very conversation, that summer 2021 conversation in Bedminster, New Jersey, in the indictment. This audio tape lends voice to what Jack Smith's arguing already. He's arguing Donald Trump knowingly shared with people who didn't have security clearances sensitive American secrets that Donald Trump shouldn't have been in possession of at that moment in time in the first place. Hard to imagine a scenario, hard to imagine one in which the prosecution doesn't try to play that audio tape or use the contents of that audio tape further in this prosecution. And this all comes down to defense challenges and pretrial motions, how much we're expected to hear if this case goes to trial.
So, Scott, just put it into perspective for us of just how damaging that could be for this entire process.
To a degree, some of this case hinges on classified records being where they shouldn't be with someone they shouldn't have them. But also, there's part of this case in which that's somewhat irrelevant. The sensitivity of that record he was allegedly showing the group may not matter in some facets of this prosecution, because Lilia and Meg, special counsel, the government are going to argue that Donald Trump shouldn't have had any presidential records or U.S. government records in his possession in Bedminster, New Jersey, or in Mar-a-Lago. They should be in the possession of the U.S. government, be they sensitive state secrets or otherwise. But that the special counsel quoted that very conversation indicates it's going to be a weight-bearing part of this prosecution moving forward.
All right, Scott MacFarlane for us in a very hot Miami, I'm assuming, but you look great. Thank you so much.